I want to also point out the fact that you were saying that you received a lot of really violent remarks about your daughter, about yourself, and I don't condemn any of that. And I think it's important to hone in on that specifically, on interpersonal political violence, because I think that's what most of us can relate to and understand, and ultimately sows the seeds for something like Charlie Kirk to happen. So I think that that's like a relevant piece. So I absolutely condemn all of that. But when you're saying that, oh my God, I had all of these people get so mad at me about the fact that I voted for Trump, why is there not a reflection on why that was the response? Like, instead of looking at her t-shirt and being upset about that, like, why is she saying that pretty girls don't like Trump?
But see,
like,
why
don't we have that?
I already know, because I've talked to people on the left. When I had a rally, I let them speak. I let them speak and have a voice. I wasn't trying to silence them. I'm being silenced. I got kicked off of Facebook twice. I got kicked off of TikTok. I have to keep making new accounts. That's censorship. That's not the American way. The American way is freedom of speech. And that's what happens in tyrannical governments.
I'd like to jump in. First of all, I really appreciate that all of you like so vehemently condemn political violence, and I agree with you. I think that's very important. The reason I would argue that it more stems from the left is a couple of things. First of all, to address that DOJ statistic that you were talking about, the way the Biden administration came up with that is they had the FBI start separate offices in every state and every city, and they used January 6th to, basically they went after every single person and put that as a mark of white supremacist violence, even if the person like walked into the Capitol. And actually I have a friend who was black conservative who walked into the Capitol who was harassed by the FBI.
Siaka, yeah, we all know Siaka.
We all know. And so that's how they came up with that statistic, and that's why it was taken away, because it was very flawed. There's been numerous assassination attempts. I mean, there was
that political violence, though, January 6th?
There was some political violence. So
4 people died, and they were patriots. No cop died from
I don't think anybody should be running up attacking
the media
Capitol.
lied.
I think that's the most unpatriotic you could do, but it is very historically American.
I mean, I would probably put it in the category of of the BLM situations where there was the peaceful protests and then there was the rioting. And I know I lived right there where we could see the flames from my door and the tanks rolled into the city. So I know firsthand that there was definitely violence when the sun came down.
They did not threaten to hang their own vice president.
And then the January 6th was a peaceful protest that got out of hand at one point. But most of the people that harassed had the door open for them by the police and walked peacefully in.
Because the police are part of them.
And so I think there's also been other attacks. There was the assassination attempt on Steve Scalise. There was a couple of assassination attempts on Trump. There was an assassination attempt on Justice Kavanaugh. And
Melissa Hortman definitely just
And as
got
much
killed.
as I was deeply disturbed by the videos of George Floyd, I cried when I saw it. The fact of the matter is, he was a criminal. He had stuck his gun at a pregnant woman's belly. He was taken in for a crime. He was on drugs. That was part of the problem. That's not excusing anything that was excessive. But whereas basically you guys are saying that because Charlie Kirk said things you don't agree with, it's more justifiable to shoot him execution
No one said
style
that.
than that.
You started out your statement with saying that we both vehemently, we all, as a group in totality.
But I think you're saying you understand the okay, so correct me if I'm wrong, because I wouldn't want to.
We're pushing back on things that are being inaccurately represented. So you cannot say that you see. The thing about it is, we said out the gate, we do not condone that. Much to the detriment and pushback of a lot of our own communities. But what we're not sitting up here doing respectfully, which is what I'm hearing from you, I don't want to speak for you because I feel like that's impolite. So you could tell me if I have it wrong. But it seems as though that you're inferring that the January 6th was just a protest that got out of hand, or equating it to, and let's be also clear, Black people, liberals, are not the only ones that rioted after George Floyd.
I totally know that.
The entire planet. Think about that.